Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The co-chairs of the Judiciary Committee, Senator Coleman, Representative Fox, ranking members, and especially I'd like to say hello to two members of our delegation who serve on the Judiciary Committee, my good friend Matt Ritter and Minnie Gonzalez. I'm here today to speak on Senate Bill 494, an act concerning guardians ad litem and attorneys for minor children and family relations matters. I served on a task force titled Task Force for Legal Disputes Regarding the Custody of Minor Children. I was appointed by the co-chairs of the Children's Committee to serve there as an educator, 35 years, teaching my wife, an educator, 35 years. I'm very interested in the welfare of children as a member of the Children's Committee. And I went there with no preconceived notions. I knew it was about legal disputes over the custody of minor children. And I went there with an open mind. I listened to what people who support the system had to say, the guardian ad litems and others, mental health professionals who were part of the task force, as well as people who had concerns like Representative Gonzalez, Jennifer, and there was a judge by the name of retired judge by the name of Tom Weismiller, a few other people that had some concerns. And I went there, thinking I'm going to, not really take sides on this. I'm going to listen, learn as much as I can about the issue, and see if I can help come to some consensus on these issues. Well, what I discovered was a little shop of horrors there. After listening to hours and hours of testimony, after speaking to people, witness after witness, after reading document after document, court transcripts, getting emails, getting phone calls, holding 2 public hearings, and listening to people testify at those public hearings, I came to the conclusion that we need to reform this guardian ad litem system. Either that or do away with it completely. Frankly, one of the things that we all agreed on was that we needed some kind of code of ethics or code of standards. I don't see too much in this Senate Bill 494, so I'm hoping it'll get amended to have some teeth in it, because I think as a minimum we need a code of conduct, we need supervision for the guardian ad litems if we're going to keep them, we need evaluations, we need to make sure they don't have absolute immunity from perjury, fraud, forgery, or any other kind of criminal conduct. We need an independent investigative body that can remove them when necessary and sanction their misconduct when necessary. We need to make sure their compensation is regulated and capped. Without these minimal reforms, we as legislators can only hold the empowering judges accountable. And I'm going to ask this committee, the Judiciary Committee, is this a fair way to go about reforming a system, holding the judges accountable? But unfortunately, we can't have it both ways. If we don't want to punish the judges for a dysfunctional GAL system, then the Judiciary Committee must reform the system. Otherwise, the only recourse we as rank-and-file legislators have to serve our constituents is holding judges accountable when they come up for their 8-year reappointment. Now, this happened on the floor of the House. I had to stand up against a judge at the floor of the House. Very uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I think many of my colleagues didn't like the fact that we have to hold up an appointment of a judge on the floor of the House. I'd rather see this whole GAL system reformed. I'd like to see this bill with some teeth in it. And I believe if we reform this GAL system and put some controls in it, that's a good first step. I'm not going to use my 3 minutes because I think that's the point I'd like to make. I don't want to go after judges, but what else can I do if abuse happens and I've become aware of it, and people bring me documentation showing that somebody has perjured themselves? I'm not saying all GALs. I know there's a lot of great GALs out there. There's probably very good judges. But in a situation where there is abuse, and forget about the 95% people keep talking about, well, 95% of all matters are settled between the couples. No, that 5% that is in dispute is the entire 100% universe of legal disputes over minor children. That is the 100% universe we're dealing with. The other 95% is gone. So that's what we're focusing on. However, if this comes to my attention that a judge has enabled this to happen in their courthouse, then what recourse do I have except to hold the judge accountable for any misbehavior that happens in that courtroom? It's a horrible situation. And I have a lot of friends in the legal community came up to me and said, you know, Ed, it was the wrong way to go about it. You shouldn't have gone after a single judge. It's really a system that needs reform. Well, this is where the Judiciary Committee can step up to the plate and help us institute a system of reform. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. We appreciate your testimony. Would you share with us if you've given any thought to who should be doing or accomplishing the oversight of GALs?
Well, it could be a unit specialized in that. I think we should probably fund it because people have told me, well, you know, these professional boards, like the mental health professional, have their professional boards where you can go and file a complaint with their colleagues, or attorneys have the Bar Association and you can file a complaint with their colleagues at the bar. Unfortunately, the mechanisms that exist now are not working for people. So whatever the reason, hundreds of complaints, as far as I know, very few, if any, have been upheld. So, plus there's also the other aspect of this, which is that many people are loath to complain about the system because you're dealing with the relationship with their child. People have a lot of power over that relationship, which is very important to the parent. You know, in natural law dictates that parents have an interest in their offspring. That's natural law. It just supersedes any law of man. So to take away that natural right to a relationship to your kids should be a very, very high standard of law. And unfortunately, it's happened over things like non-payment of bills to the GAL, bills which, by the way, are not itemized. So yes, I think a unit should be created. Probably, it doesn't have to be expensive. It could be a small unit of people that are insulated from the system and that are not part of the system. So here's the other thing. I had people come up to me. I had a couple of colleagues come up to me and said they wish they had been able to vote against that particular judge, but they felt that they were putting their clients in the middle. You know, they didn't want to, you know, unfortunately, you don't know who's friends with who in the court system, and people are concerned about their clients, especially those legislators that are attorneys. So there's a lot of, what I can see, there's a lot of constraints on people who are part of the legal community to really speak up. So perhaps an entity that is not part of the legal community, but people that maybe have some supervisory ability, that understand conciliation. You know, I've always felt that people can do this kind of job. I used an example during the task force meetings of chaplains in the armed forces that deal with marriage counseling. It doesn't have to be attorneys. It doesn't have to be a mental health professional. It can be a guidance counselor at a college or university. It can be people that are concerned about bringing people together and easing tensions so that people can work together in parenting their kids. Unfortunately, even though I made this point on the floor of the House, which is even though we as a state only pay $50 to GALs for indigent parents, when we have attorneys that come to do this job, they feel they can charge the parents the same they charge a corporate client. So if they're charging their corporate client $400 an hour or $500, especially like in Greenwich County, they feel that they can charge the same thing for their services as a GAL to parents. Now, if there's bleeding of the family finances, I don't believe that's in the best interest of the child, especially if the kid's college fund is depleted or if the family winds up losing the house. I really fail to see how that's in the best interest of the child. So this GAL system, I don't know if it's necessary or not. I don't think so. Maybe we don't need it, but if we do need it, we need to regulate it. And I come by this, I don't know, I have no axe to grind in this. I just like to see a better system.
Understood. Representative Gonzalez?
Thank you, Representative Vargas, for being here with us today. Thank you. You know, you said that you have friends that approach you and say that it was wrong for us to go after one judge. We didn't went after one judge that day. One was lucky that I was outside chambers when I came back. It was gone. He was lucky. But we went after more than one. We went after more than one. And I want to be very clear and put it out there. This is not over. Because there are more judges out there, they're doing the same thing. But they are not coming for reappointment all at the same time. So they are waiting for their turn. I'm waiting for them to come back. So this is not just one judge.
You're
this
right.
This is a group of judges. This is like the wild, wild west. They are doing whatever they want, and I'm waiting because we got information about it. The other thing that I would like to say, Representative Vargas, is that when we were part of the task force, we realized, some of us, that there were some members that no matter what, they were not planning to do no changes. Well, maybe some changes here, some changes there, more money for the judicial branch, but not a lot of changes because they're going to affect their pocket. So we knew at that time that all the members, they were not there looking for changes. We know that. Guardians in items, they don't want to change the system because they don't want to go back and they're paid. But we know that we need changes. And they want guardians in items. I've already said, you can have guardians in items, but not in the family court. I don't think that was the intent for guardians in items. And we can do a lot of changes here. When you have compassion for people and you have a heart and you believe the family should stay together and you believe that you will help family, it doesn't matter if you're doing it pro bono or not. Listen, years ago, I did supervised visit as a volunteer base. I never charged a penny. And here I am. I don't make a lot of money here. Hey, state representative, what is the salary? $28,000? I didn't went and get paid for supervised visit. I did it on my own. Not even a penny. I know it's a lot of people out there. They're retired teachers. We have a lot of people out there. They are willing to do, as this guardian letter as a volunteer. Social workers, they can do this as a volunteer basis. But no, because the system won't allow that because it's money out there for a lot of lawyers. So that's what we have to protect. But it's wrong. We have to protect. We here to protect the children. And try to maintain the family together.
I want to thank you, Representative Gonzalez, for all the work you've done. And I agree with you that the complaints were about more than one judge. And the complaints were there were a lot of people involved in this. It wasn't just one or two individuals. When I listened to testimony here, I agree that there may be GALs that do a good job, that there may be judges that do a good job, mental health professionals that do a good job. But when people try to minimize it and say that this is maybe one or two bad apples, I think that you're right. It's a little more than that. It's a lot more prevalent than that. The only reason I took a stand on one particular judge was because sometimes you have to be strategic in terms of your, picking your battles. But the fact is, I think we sent a strong message from the floor of the House that we're frustrated. And I think that message got through. And I'm hoping that now judiciary picks up the mantle and comes up with some language that puts some teeth into the statutes that protects parents that are in this horrible situation. Because I'll tell you, there's no more vulnerable part to be in than when your relationship with your kids is at jeopardy. And I know, Representative Gonzalez, you've been a dedicated mother, and I know the tragedy you lost, and my heart goes out to you. And I really admire the fact that you're taking on this fight for a group of people that many of them are not Hartford residents. As a matter of fact, I dare say most aren't our constituents, but we feel we have an obligation to the entire state of Connecticut as legislators, and I feel that way. I feel that obligation that And any of us could be at that point. At any point in our lives, we might find ourselves in a vulnerable situation. We want to make sure that the rule of law applies to all of us fairly and equally. So thank you very much, Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you, Representative Vargas.
Are there others with questions? Seeing none, thank you, Representative.
Thank you very much.
Karen Jarmuck is next.